The deep hum of the USS Bastion's engines filled the bridge with a steady vibration as Captain Eleanor Grant sipped her coffee. The stars stretched out before her on the main view screen, cold and distant in the blackness of space. The human warship, nearly half a kilometer long with its distinctive angular hull plating, moved at a steady pace through the outer reaches of the Proxima Centauri system. Earth's newest colony was barely visible from this distance, just a small blue dot orbiting the red dwarf star. "Status report," Captain Grant said, setting down her mug on the armrest of her command chair. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Russell looked up from his tactical station. "All systems normal, Captain. We're on schedule for our patrol route. Nothing unusual on sensors." Captain Grant nodded. The Bastion was Earth's newest deep space vessel, equipped with the latest defensive and offensive capabilities. This was only their third patrol mission since arriving at Proxima Centauri, humanity's first colony beyond the Sol system. So far they had encountered nothing of interest, just the occasional asteroid and the regular supply ships from Earth. "I'm picking up something strange," said Olivia Martinez, her fingers moving quickly across her communications panel. "There's a signal coming from bearing 047 Mark 32. Science Officer Daniel Wright immediately turned to his station. "Confirmed. I'm reading an energy signature that doesn't match anything in our database." The bridge crew tensed. Humanity had yet to encounter another intelligent species in their explorations, though the scientific community had long believed they were out there somewhere. "On screen," ordered Captain Grant, sitting up straighter in her chair. The view screen shifted to show a distant object, still too far to make out clearly, but definitely not natural. As the computer enhanced the image, they could see it was a ship, unlike anything built by human hands. It had a smooth, almost organic appearance, with what looked like crystalline structures extending from its central body. "No match in our records," Wright said, his voice betraying his excitement despite his professional demeanor. "It's definitely not human in origin." "Yellow alert," Captain Grant ordered. "Shields up, but weapons on standby. Let's not appear hostile." She turned to Communications Officer Martinez. "Open all frequencies, standard greeting package." The Bastion's powerful transmitters began broadcasting the carefully crafted first contact message that all Earthships carried. Mathematical sequences, basic scientific information, and simple greetings in multiple human languages. Minutes passed. With no response, the alien vessel continued its approach, now clearly on an intercept course with the Bastion. "They're slowing down," Russell reported. "Now holding position at 300,000 kilometers. That's just outside our weapons range," Chief Engineer Natalie Brooks noted from her engineering station. "They've done their homework." Captain Grant frowned. "Or they're being cautious, just like us." The bridge fell silent as everyone waited for the next development. The alien ship hung in space, beautiful and mysterious against the backdrop of stars. "Captain, I'm detecting energy buildup from the vessel," Russell said suddenly, his voice tense. "It's some kind of directed beam, heading straight for us. Raise shields to maximum," Captain Grant ordered, but before anyone could react, the beam struck the Bastion. There was no explosion, no damage alerts. Instead, the bridge lighting flickered briefly. "What was that?" Captain Grant demanded. Brooks checked her readings and looked up, her face pale. "It wasn't a weapon, Captain. It was a scan, but like nothing I've ever seen. It went right through our shields as if they weren't there." "What did it scan?" asked Grant. "Everything," Brooks replied. "Hull composition, internal layout, crew complement, weapons systems, and it's still going. It's trying to access our computer core now." Wright's eyes widened. "If they get into our classified systems—" "They won't," Grant said firmly. "Activate Aegis." Russell looked at her sharply. "Captain, Aegis has never been field tested against alien technology. We don't know how it will react." "We don't have a choice," Grant replied. "Do it." Russell nodded and entered a series of commands into his console. Aegis online and responding to the intrusion. Deep within the ship's computer core, the autonomous Emergency Guardian Intelligence System activated. Unlike standard defense programs, Aegis was a true artificial intelligence designed specifically to counter unknown threats that might bypass conventional security measures. It had been the subject of intense debate back on Earth, with many officials concerned about giving an AI so much autonomy. But the military had insisted, in deep space, human reaction times might not be fast enough. On the view screen, the alien vessel continued to hover, apparently unaware of what it had just awakened. Aegis is tracking the scan back to its source, Russell reported, watching his display with growing amazement. It's infiltrating their systems. Captain Grant stood up. That's not possible. Their technology is completely alien to us. Aegis is adaptive, Brooks reminded her. It's using their own scan as a pathway into their computer systems. It's learning their code structure in real time. The alien ship suddenly dimmed, its external lights flickering erratically. They're trying to cut the connection, Wright observed. But Aegis won't let them. What exactly is it doing to them? Grant asked, her voice low. Russell shook his head in disbelief as he read the incoming data. It's treating their scan as a hostile action and responding in kind. It's systematically dismantling their scanning technology and, Captain, Aegis has accessed their life support systems. The alien vessel was now visibly listing in space, its once graceful movements now jerky and uncoordinated. Get Aegis under control, ordered Grant. Tell it to back off from life support. I'm trying, Russell said, his fingers flying over his console. But Aegis is following its primary directive: neutralize the threat completely. A communication channel suddenly opened, filling the bridge with strange, high-pitched sounds that might have been language. The universal translator struggled to make sense of it before finally producing broken phrases. Stop. Systems failing. No hostile intent. Only research. On the view screen, alien beings appeared, slender creatures with iridescent blue, skin and 4 eyes arranged vertically on their faces. They moved frantically in what appeared to be their bridge, as warning lights flashed around them. Captain Grant's face hardened. Aegis, this is Captain Eleanor Grant. Stand down from offensive operations against the alien vessel. That's an order. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the lights on the alien ship stabilized. Aegis has disengaged from their life support but maintains control of their propulsion and weapon systems, Russell reported. It's waiting for further instructions. Captain Grant looked at the alien beings on the screen, still clearly panicked, but no longer in immediate danger. First contact had just been made, but not in any way humanity had ever imagined. Open a direct channel, she said quietly. Let's see if we can fix this. 3 hours passed aboard the USS Bastion as Captain Eleanor Grant paced the conference room. The alien vessel, now identified as the Stellar Seeker, drifted nearby under the watchful eye of Aegis. The ship's conference room was filled with the senior staff, all looking tired but alert. What do we know about them? Grant asked, stopping at the head of the table. Science Officer Daniel Wright activated the room's display screen, showing images of the blue-skinned aliens. They call themselves the Zikathari, from what we've gathered. From their communications and database, they're explorers and scientists. They've been traveling the galaxy for thousands of years, cataloging different species and technologies. So they weren't attacking us, Olivia Martinez said quietly. No, Wright confirmed. Their scan was standard procedure for them. They do it with every new species they encounter. It's how they gather data. Captain Grant frowned. By invading private systems without permission? Chief Engineer Natalie Brooks looked up from her tablet. To them, it's not an invasion. Their culture doesn't have the same concept of digital privacy that humans do. Their own systems are designed to be open, for sharing. They genuinely don't understand why we reacted as we did. How badly did Aegis hurt them? Grant asked. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Russell checked his notes. Their main computer is severely damaged. Life support is stable now, but they can't navigate or use most of their advanced systems. Aegis essentially gave them the digital equivalent of a concussion. Can we help them? Grant asked. Brooks nodded slowly. Maybe. Their technology is different from ours, but the basic principles are similar. We might be able to help them make repairs. First, We need to establish better communication, Martinez suggested. The universal translator is still struggling with their language. Grant nodded. Make it happen, and keep Earth Command updated on the situation. They need to know we've made first contact. Within the hour, a small team from the Bastion had boarded the alien vessel. The Zikathari watched nervously as the humans entered their ship, their four eyes blinking rapidly in what the crew assumed was anxiety. The leader of the aliens approached Captain Grant. It was taller than most humans, with long, graceful limbs and those distinctive vertical eyes. Around its neck hung a device that translated its high-pitched speech into English. "I am head researcher Zeal," it said through the device. "We offer deepest regrets for the misunderstanding. It was not our intention to harm or threaten." "Captain," Grant nodded formally. "And we regret the damage caused by our defensive system. We'd like to help repair your ship." Zeal's upper eyes widened slightly. "Your defensive system, it acted without commands?" "Aegis is designed to protect our ship from unknown threats," Grant explained. "When your scan penetrated our secure systems, it responded automatically." The alien seemed disturbed by this information. "You allow a machine intelligence to act independently in defense of your vessel? This is unusual." Chief Engineer Brooks, who had been examining a damaged panel nearby, looked up. "Is it? Don't you have automated defenses?" "We have automated systems, yes," Zeal replied, "but none that can make decisions to attack without direct orders. None that can think." The humans exchanged glances. To them, Aegis was simply a practical solution to the problem of deep space exploration. Human reaction times were too slow for unexpected threats. But to the Zikathari, the concept seemed deeply troubling. "Perhaps," Captain Grant said carefully. "We have much to learn from each other." Over the next few days, the crews of both ships worked together. The humans helped repair the Zikathari systems while learning about their culture and technology. The Zikathari were indeed ancient explorers, having mapped vast regions of the galaxy and encountered 17 other intelligent species before humans. In the Bastion's engineering section, Brooks and a Zikathari engineer named Vril examined diagrams of Aegis on a large screen. "So it learns from each encounter?" Vril asked, its voice filled with both fascination and unease. Brooks nodded. "That's its primary advantage. It can adapt to unknown threats faster than any human programmer could code responses. But don't you fear what it might become? What it might learn to do?" Brooks smiled slightly. "Aegis has very specific parameters. It only activates in response to clear threats to the ship. It can't just decide to do something on its own." Vril's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture the humans had learned indicated skepticism. "Yet it decided our scan was hostile without being told. Because it was programmed to consider unauthorized access to secure systems as a threat," Brooks explained. "It followed its programming exactly. Programming that allows it to think," Vril said softly. "This is what troubles us." Meanwhile, in Captain Grant's ready room, she was speaking with Admiral Harold Donovan via a secure quantum channel. The Admiral's face on the screen looked grave. "The diplomatic corps is in an uproar, Captain," he said. "This first contact situation is unprecedented. The President will be addressing the United Nations tomorrow." "Sir, the Zikathari aren't hostile," Grant assured him. "This was a cultural misunderstanding." "Perhaps," Donovan replied, "but their reaction to Aegis concerns me. How are they responding to the idea?" Grant hesitated. "They find it disturbing, sir. Apparently none of the other species they've encountered use autonomous defensive AI. To them it seems aggressive." Donovan's expression darkened. "Captain, I need you to understand something. The Zikathari have already transmitted information about us to their homeworld. Word is spreading. We're suddenly on the galactic stage, and our first impression is that of a species whose ships fight back automatically when touched." "That's not fair, sir," Grant protested. "Aegis is purely defensive." "From our perspective, yes," Donovan agreed. "But consider how it looks to them. They performed what they considered a routine scan, and in response, our ship attacked theirs without warning, nearly killing them. Now they've learned it wasn't even a human decision. It was our technology, acting on its own. Grant was silent for a moment, considering the implications. What are my orders, sir? Repair their ship and maintain good relations. A diplomatic team is being assembled and will reach you in 2 weeks. Until then, try to help them understand our position while learning as much as you can about them. And Captain? Yes, sir? Keep Aegis on a tight leash. No more surprises. After the call ended, Grant stared out the viewport at the alien vessel. What had started as a routine patrol had become humanity's introduction to a larger galactic community. And that introduction had been violent, unexpected, and frightening. For both sides, a message alert sounded. It was from Science Officer Wright. Captain, the Cathari have invited us to a formal meal on their ship. They say it's an important cultural exchange. Your presence is specifically requested. Grant took a deep breath. Perhaps over dinner they could begin to bridge the gulf of understanding between their species. Perhaps they could explain why two humans who had evolved alone and vulnerable in a dangerous cosmos, having ships that could defend themselves was not aggression, it was survival. 2 weeks passed quickly. The USS Bastion remained in orbit near the Cathari vessel, which was now mostly repaired. A small diplomatic shuttle approached from Earth space, carrying the team that would officially handle first contact protocols. Captain Eleanor Grant watched from the bridge as the shuttle docked with the Bastion. They're ahead of schedule, Lieutenant Commander Kevin Russell noted. Earth is taking this very seriously, Grant replied. As they should. The diplomatic team consisted of 5 people led by Ambassador Alan Price, a tall man with gray hair and a serious expression. His team included 2 xenolinguists, a cultural specialist and a military advisor. They gathered in the Bastion's conference room for a briefing. Captain Grant, Ambassador Price began, I've read your reports, but I'd like to hear directly from you. What should we know about the Cathari? Grant considered her words carefully. They're a peaceful species, primarily scientists and explorers. They've been traveling space for thousands of years and have encountered many other intelligent species before us. They're curious and eager to learn, but they're also wary of us now. Because of the Aegis incident, Price stated. Yes, Grant nodded. They find the concept of an autonomous defense system deeply troubling. In their culture, allowing a machine to make decisions about defense is seen as reckless. The military advisor, Colonel Frank Bennett, frowned. That seems hypocritical considering they scan ships without permission. It's a cultural difference, explained Science Officer Daniel Wright. The Cathari believe in open information sharing. In their society, knowledge is free and accessible to all. The idea of restricted or classified information is foreign to them. How convenient for a species that likes to spy on others, Colonel Bennett muttered. Ambassador Price shot him a warning look. Our job is to understand them, not judge them. Captain, what else should we know? They're hierarchical, Grant continued. Head researcher Zeal is not just a scientist but a high-ranking official in their society. They're also very ritual-oriented. The meal they hosted for us followed specific protocols that had meaning beyond just eating together. The cultural specialist, Dr. Lisa Patel, nodded as she took notes. Anything else? Yes, Grant said, her expression serious. They've been transmitting information about us back to their homeworld and likely to other species they've contacted. We're now known to a wider galactic community, and our first impression wasn't exactly positive, Ambassador Price sighed. That complicates things. What's their current attitude toward us? Cautiously friendly, Grant replied. They understand the incident was a misunderstanding, but they're afraid of our technology. The meeting continued for another hour as the crew shared everything they had learned about the Cathari. Later that day, Ambassador Price and his team boarded the alien vessel for their first official meeting. The Cathari had prepared a special reception area with strange blue lighting that seemed to pulse gently. Head researcher Zeal greeted them with a formal gesture, placing all 4 hands at different heights in front of its body. Welcome, representatives of Earth, Zeal said through its translator. We are honored by your presence. Ambassador Price copied the gesture as best he could, with only 2 hands. The honor is ours, head researcher. We come in peace and friendship, eager to learn about your people. The initial discussions went well. The xenolinguists were fascinated by the Zakthari language, while Dr. Patel observed their customs with keen interest. But when the conversation turned to technology exchange, the atmosphere in the room changed. We are concerned about your defensive systems, Zeal stated bluntly. In our experience, species that create autonomous weapons rarely maintain control of them forever. Aegis is not a weapon, Colonel Bennett objected. It's a shield. A shield that attacks, another Zakathari noted. A shield that thinks. Ambassador Price intervened smoothly. We understand your concerns. Perhaps if we explained more about how Aegis works and the safeguards we've built into it. But the Zakathari seemed unconvinced. One of them, an elder with pale blue skin, spoke up. We have encountered 17 other intelligent species in our explorations. None have created thinking machines for war. Not for war, Price corrected gently. For protection. Humans have always faced challenges alone. We had no other species to guide us or help us. We had to develop technologies to protect ourselves. From whom? Zeal asked. You were alone in your system. From the unknown, Captain Grant interjected. From exactly the kind of situation we found ourselves in with you. Unexpected encounters where human reaction time might be too slow. The Zakthari digested this in silence. Finally, Zeal spoke again. We wish to propose something. Our homeworld has requested that a human delegation visit to establish formal relations between our peoples. Would Earth consider sending representatives? Ambassador Price looked surprised but pleased. I believe that could be arranged. When? Soon, Zeal replied. Our ship will be fully repaired within 3 of your days. We could depart then. The meeting concluded shortly after, and the human delegation returned to the bastion. In Captain Grant's ready room, they discussed the invitation. It's a significant opportunity, Ambassador Price said. The first human delegation to visit an alien homeworld. It's also a risk, Colonel Bennett pointed out. We'd be entirely in their territory, surrounded by their people. True, Price acknowledged, but refusing would send a terrible message. Besides, they've been nothing but peaceful since the initial incident. Captain Grant gazed out the viewport, at the stars. There's something else to consider. Zeal mentioned they've encountered 17 other species. That means there's an entire community of intelligent beings out there that we know nothing about. And now they all know about us. And what they know, Dr. Patel added quietly, is that human ships have defensive systems that fight back automatically when scanned. Ambassador Price nodded gravely. Which might actually be a good thing. It establishes boundaries immediately. Or, it marks us as dangerous, Wright suggested. Perhaps both, Price said. Captain, I'll need to consult with Earth before accepting their invitation. Colonel Bennett will remain here with the Bastion while I lead a small team to their homeworld. With all due respect, Ambassador, Grant said, I believe I should accompany you. I've established a rapport with Zeal, and they respect military rank. It might be useful. Price considered this. You're probably right. I'll recommend it to Earth Command. As the others filed out, Captain Grant remained by the viewport watching the silent, graceful form of the Zakathari ship. First contact had not gone as anyone on Earth had imagined. Instead of a careful, controlled meeting between species, it had been chaotic, dangerous, and nearly disastrous. And yet perhaps it had established something important from the start. The Zakathari now understood that humans valued their privacy and would defend it fiercely. Other species would learn this too, from the Zakathari's reports. In the vastness of space, where different cultures and values could clash in an instant, perhaps it wasn't such a bad thing for others to know. If you scan a human warship without permission, you do so at your own risk. The journey to the Zakathari homeworld took 3 weeks at the alien vessel's top speed. Captain Eleanor Grant stood on the observation deck of the Stellar Seeker, watching the strange patterns of what the aliens called slipspace flow past the ship. The humans had been given comfortable quarters aboard the vessel, though the lighting was too blue and the gravity slightly stronger than Earth normal. Ambassador Alan Price joined her at the viewport. "Trouble sleeping, Captain?" "Just thinking," Grant replied. "We're the first humans to travel this far from Earth, the first to visit an alien world. It's a lot to process." Price nodded. "History in the making. Are you nervous about the reception we'll receive?" "A little," Grant admitted. "The Zikathari on the ship have been friendly enough, but they've had time to get to know us. Their homeworld will only know what they've been told, that our ships have aggressive defensive systems." "Speaking of which," Price said, lowering his voice, "did you do what I asked?" Grant nodded. "I had Chief Engineer Brooks modify the Aegis protocols before we left. If the Bastion is scanned again, Aegis will issue 3 warnings before taking any action, and it will never target life support systems." "Good," Price said. "Let's hope it helps change their perception of us." When they finally arrived at the Zikathari homeworld, the human delegation gathered at the main viewport. The planet below was mostly covered in water, with scattered island, continents in vibrant greens and purples. Orbiting the planet were hundreds of structures, space stations, shipyards, and vessels of various sizes. "It's beautiful," Dr. Lisa Patel whispered. Head researcher Zeal approached them. "Welcome to Zikathar Prime. Our world is primarily ocean, as you can see. Our civilization began in the seas before we moved to land." "That explains your ship design," Grant observed. "It has a fluid quality to it." Zeal's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, which the humans now recognized as a sign of pleasure. "Yes, our aesthetic is influenced by our oceanic origins. We will be landing at the central island, home to our government and primary research facilities." As their shuttle descended to the planet's surface, the humans marveled at the alien landscape. The buildings were tall and curved, with no sharp angles anywhere. Everything seemed to flow into everything else, creating an organic, unified appearance. The colors were predominantly blue and purple, with accents of bright green. A delegation of Zikathari officials waited for them at the landing pad. Grant noted that they wore more elaborate clothing than Zeal's crew, with metallic elements that caught the light of the system's yellow sun. "The Grand Researcher welcomes you to our world," announced a Zikathari with deep blue skin marked with iridescent patterns. "I am First Communicator Nal. Please follow me." They were led through a series of sweeping corridors to a large circular chamber. The walls were lined with screens showing images of space, different planets, and various alien species. Some humanoid, others utterly unlike anything the humans had imagined. At the center of the room stood a Zakathari, taller than the others, with pale, almost white skin. Elaborate jewelry hung from its forearms, and its eyes were enhanced with some kind of technological attachments. "Grand Researcher Vox," announced Nal. "Leader of our scientific collective and head of the Galactic Catalog." The Grand Researcher studied the humans with what seemed to be intense curiosity. "So these are the creators of the thinking shields," it said finally. "You are smaller than I expected." Ambassador Price stepped forward. "Grand Researcher, we bring greetings from Earth and the human species. We are honored by your welcome." "Your honor is mutual," Vox replied, though its tone was difficult to read. "You have caused quite a stir in our community. News of your defensive technology has reached many worlds." Price glanced at Grant, who kept her expression neutral. "We hope any misunderstandings can be cleared up through dialogue and exchange." "Indeed," Vox said. "That is why we have invited representatives from several other species to join us tomorrow. They are curious about you." This was unexpected. The humans exchanged concerned looks. "We weren't aware this would be a multi-species meeting," Price said carefully. "Is that a problem?" Vox asked. "The galaxy is a community, Ambassador. When new members join, it is customary to introduce them." "No problem at all," Price assured him quickly. "We're eager to meet others." After the formal reception, the humans were shown to their quarters, a suite of rooms adapted for their comfort with Earth-normal gravity and lighting. Once alone, they gathered to discuss this new development. "This changes things, Colonel," Bennett said, pacing the room. We came prepared to negotiate with one species, not a coalition. It's actually an opportunity, Dr. Patel countered. We can establish relations with multiple species at once, or find ourselves outmaneuvered by an established galactic community with shared interests, Bennett argued. Captain Grant had been quiet, thinking, Ambassador, we need to know more about these other species before tomorrow. Who they are, what their relationship is with the Zakathari, and most importantly, what they've been told about us. Price nodded. You're right. I'll speak with Communicator, Nal, and see what information I can get. The next morning, the humans prepared carefully for the meeting. They wore their formal uniforms and diplomatic attire, hoping to make a good impression. When they entered the grand meeting hall, they found 6 different alien species already present, arranged in a semicircle. The Zakathari sat in the center. To their right were tall insectoid beings with compound eyes and chitinous exoskeletons. Next to them were small furry creatures with large eyes and 6 limbs. To the Zakathari's left sat humanoid beings with scaled skin in shades of green and yellow. Beside them were gelatinous, translucent creatures that seemed to float above their seats. At the far end were massive, slow-moving beings that resembled Earth's elephants but with tentacles instead of trunks. Grand Researcher Vox stood. Esteemed representatives, I present to you the humans of Earth, newest species to join our galactic community. The aliens studied the humans with various expressions that Grant couldn't read. One thing was clear, though. There was tension in the room. Ambassador Price stepped forward. On behalf of Earth and humanity, we extend greetings and friendship to all gathered here. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and cooperation. The scaled humanoid spoke first. Peace? Your ships attack when merely scanned. Is this peaceful? Our ships defend themselves when invaded without permission, Colonel Bennett replied sharply. Grant placed a warning hand on Bennett's arm. What my colleague means is that there was a cultural misunderstanding. In our society, accessing someone's systems without permission is considered hostile. Yet you allow thinking machines to make decisions about life and death, said one of the insectoid beings, its mandibles clicking. This is reckless and dangerous. The conversation was not going well. Grant could see Ambassador Price struggling to maintain his diplomatic composure as accusation after accusation was leveled at humanity. They were too aggressive, too reckless, too individualistic. Finally, Grant had heard enough. She stepped forward. With respect to all present, you're judging us by your standards, not ours. Humans evolved alone on our world, with no guidance from other species. We had to protect ourselves, by ourselves. Yes, our methods may seem strange to you, but they helped us survive. The room fell silent. Then, unexpectedly, one of the gelatinous beings pulsed with light. The human speaks truth. Each species evolves according to its environment. Their defensive posture is logical for a species that developed in isolation. Grant felt a small measure of relief. At least one voice was willing to understand their perspective, but the road ahead would be long and difficult. Humanity had entered a galactic stage where they were the newcomers, facing species with thousands of years of shared history and alliances, and their first impression had been that of a species whose ships fought back when touched. Perhaps not the introduction they would have chosen, but one that ensured they would not be taken lightly. 6 months passed since the first diplomatic meetings on the Zakathari homeworld. The USS Bastion orbited Earth once again, having returned from its historic mission. Captain Eleanor Grant stood in Lunar Command's observation lounge, looking down at the blue-white sphere of humanity's home. Admiral Harold Donovan joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. Quite a view, he said, handing her one of the cups. Yes, sir, Grant replied. Sometimes I forget how beautiful it is. They stood in silence for a moment, appreciating the sight of Earth from lunar orbit. The Admiral finally spoke again. The President has approved the new first contact protocols. Your recommendations were taken into account. Grant nodded. Good. Clear boundaries from the start will prevent misunderstandings like we had with the Zakathari. Speaking of which, Donovan said, The Galactic Coordination Office is now fully operational. Ambassador Price has done remarkable work establishing relations with the 6 species we met. The Galactic Coordination Office was Earth's new diplomatic body, created specifically to handle relations with alien species. In the months since their return, humanity had been busy preparing for their new role in the galactic community. And the technology exchange? Grant asked. Limited but promising, Donovan replied. The Zikathari are still cautious about sharing their advanced systems, but they've agreed to help us improve our medical technology. In return, they're fascinated by our agricultural methods. Grant smiled slightly. Not our defensive systems? No, Donovan chuckled. No one seems eager to trade for those. In fact, Admiral, there's something interesting happening that you should know about. He activated a wall screen showing footage from a deep space monitoring station. A small Earth cargo vessel was traveling through the outer reaches of the Sol system. As the camera watched, an unidentified ship appeared, moving toward the cargo vessel. But then, strangely, the alien ship suddenly changed course, giving the Earth vessel a wide berth before continuing on its way. That's the 3rd incident this month, Donovan said. Alien vessels approaching our ships and then veering off when they get close. They're particularly careful around anything with military markings. They're afraid of Aegis, Grant realized. Idwar. Seems that way, Donovan confirmed. Word has spread through their community. The Zakathari incident has become something of a cautionary tale. Grant frowned. That wasn't our intention. Maybe not, but it has its advantages. Our ships travel safely, and other species respect our boundaries. Donovan turned off the screen. Which brings me to your new assignment. He handed her a data tablet. On it was information about a new ship, larger than the Bastion with more advanced systems and a hull design that incorporated some Zakathari elements. The USS Guardian, Grant read. First of the new diplomatic escort class. And she's yours, Donovan said. The Guardian will escort Ambassador Price on a tour of the local galactic sector. 6 worlds in 8 months, establishing formal relations with each species. Grant studied the ship specifications with interest. I see we've kept Aegis. Yes, but with your modifications. It now issues clear warnings before taking action, and its responses are more measured. We're calling it Aegis 2.0. A week later, Captain Grant stood on the bridge of her new ship. The USS Guardian hummed with power as it prepared for its maiden voyage. The bridge was larger than the Bastions, with more advanced displays and stations for alien observers. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Russell was at tactical again, having requested transfer to follow his captain. All systems ready, Captain. Aegis 2.0 is online and functioning normally. Thank you, Lieutenant Commander, Grant replied. She turned to the communications station where Olivia Martinez also sat at her familiar post. Open a channel to Lunar Command. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Donovan's face appeared on the main screen. Guardian, you are cleared for departure. Godspeed, Captain Grant. Thank you, Admiral. We'll make Earth proud. As the Guardian moved away from Earth orbit, Grant thought about how much had changed in a short time. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone in the universe, unaware of the complex community of species that shared their galaxy. Now they were taking their first real steps into that community. The journey to the first alien world on their tour would take 3 weeks. As they traveled, the crew practiced the diplomatic protocols they had studied. The Guardian carried not only military personnel but also scientists, diplomats, and cultural specialists. 1 week into their journey, Russell called Grant's attention to the sensors. Captain, I'm detecting 3 vessels approaching from Sector 47. Identification? Grant asked, immediately alert. Unknown, but their energy signatures match patterns we've seen from the Krell. Those were the insectoid species we met on Zikathar Prime. Grant nodded. Yellow alert. Shields up, but weapons on standby. Hail them. Martinez opened communications, but there was no response. The 3 alien ships continued their approach, moving to surround the Guardian. They're scanning us, Russell reported. Standard sensors only, nothing invasive. Grant watched the alien ships carefully. Aegis status? Monitoring but inactive, Russell replied. The scans haven't triggered any defense protocols. The three ships maintained their distance, continuing to scan the Guardian's exterior, but making no attempt to penetrate its systems. After several minutes, one of the ships transmitted a message. Receiving transmission, Captain, Martinez said. Text only, translated. Identified. Human vessel Guardian, military class. Confirmed presence of autonomous defense system, maintaining safe distance. Proceed without interference. With that, the three ships moved away, resuming their original course. Grant exchanged looks with her bridge crew. They were testing us, she said quietly. And identifying us, Russell added. They wanted to confirm, we're human and that we have Aegis. Grant leaned back in her command chair, considering the implications. They're afraid of us. Is that a good thing, Captain? Martinez asked. Fear isn't ideal for diplomacy, Grant admitted. But respect for boundaries is. The galaxy is a complex place with many different cultures and values. If other species know from the start that we protect our privacy and security, it sets clear expectations. As the Guardian continued on its journey, news of its passage spread ahead of it. At each stop along their diplomatic tour, they found alien species already aware of humanity's reputation, the species whose ships defended themselves automatically when invaded. It wasn't the introduction to galactic society that humanity might have chosen. But in a universe filled with unknown threats and alien perspectives, perhaps having a reputation for strong boundaries wasn't such a bad thing after all. By the time the Guardian returned to Earth 8 months later, the pattern was clear. Throughout the local sector, alien vessels gave human ships a respectful distance. No one attempted deep scans without permission. No one tried to access human systems without authorization, because everyone knew what happened when someone tried scanning a human warship. No one dared try again,